People here last week, we won't see them till Christmas. And I didn't say anything sarcastic. Usually on Easter, I'm like, hello to all of you we haven't seen since Christmas, but I didn't do it. I was just happy they came. Last week was awesome. Are we on the World Wide Web yet? All right. Those of you that are just logging on, we'll get officially started in just a moment. It's a beautiful day, high vibrations. Eddie posted today, you're crazy if you don't come to Metron today, so I'm assuming none of y'all are crazy, so that's good. If you were wondering, if there's any doubt out there, rest your mind. You've made the right choice. It's a beautiful day. Let's remain standing. We'll hit the official intro, please.
Good morning, and welcome to Metron. Metron is measure or sphere of influence, and we want to help you find your Metron through motivation, enlightenment, transcendence, renewal, outreach, and networking. Today is your day to find your Metron, and we hope you enjoy the service.
Good morning, beautiful people. Glad to see you. Give yourselves a hand for being at Metron. It is a beautiful day. I asked Ken this morning, I said, did we opt out of spring this year? I mean, I keep thinking, is it spring now? I'm like, well, okay, not yet. And I know for those of you who live in the New York area, I mean, I got nothing to complain about because y'all still got snow. It's just Mother Nature's thrown us a curve a little bit this year. I'm like, I got out the shorts and the flip-flops. I'm like, maybe not yet. So now when you leave, if you leave the house, you're going to be gone all day. You just take several outfits. You just change several outfits. Like, well, any one of these are going to be appropriate. It was warm yesterday, and then we got home. Well, because I said, you know what, I need to go to the store. So let's just walk. There's a CVS up there on Peachtree. So let's just walk up there, and maybe we'll get a coffee or something. We got out. I said, I ain't walking. Look, get back in the car. It was like we did. I just had like a T-shirt on. Nope, this ain't gonna work. What happened? Did we just time travel? Like it was like 80 degrees a couple hours ago. Anywho, it's nice in here, and I'm glad those of you who haven't seen since Tuesday night. And of course, I'll say something about that. I'm so happy that we connected with Alex Marion this month. Last week, he really brought something that was beautiful, and I could tell something that we needed. And he's got a beautiful spirit and a beautiful gift, and I don't have to tell you that. All you have to do is listen to him, and he's been able to be with us all month. There's 5 Sundays this month, so by the end of the month, he will be family. If you haven't met him yet, be sure that you do. And I know today will be even better. Would you please welcome our new friend, Alex Marion? Alex, come do your thing.
So, before I get started, can I talk for a little bit, just for 30 seconds? So, I was talking to Pastor, and when at the end of service, and I told him there was a comment I said. It was when I walked in here, I've never felt so much love. It was tangible, and yeah. So I'm so happy to be here. It's changed my mind on so many different levels. It's just wow. Hope you guys like this song. It goes like, He brought me to His banqueting table. He brought me to His banqueting table. Oh, His banner holding me. Oh, His love repeat after me, okay? So, he brought me to his banqueting table. Say, he brought me to his banqueting table. He brought me to his banqueting. Oh, his banner over me, yeah, over me. His love. One more time, let's sing it out together. He brought me to his banqueting table. Brought me to his. He brought me to his banqueting table. Brought me to his. Oh, his banner over me. Yeah. His love. Yeah. Next part says, I am my beloved's and he is mine. I am my beloved's and he is mine. I am my beloved's and he is mine. I am my beloved's and oh, his banner over me, yeah. His love. One more time, sing it. Say, I am my beloved's and he is mine. I am my beloved's and he is. Sound great. I am my beloved's and he is mine. Oh, his banner over me, yeah. All together, let's sing it. His love. So the next part says, his banner over you, his banner over me, his banner over us, his love, 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 love. His banner over you, his banner over me, his banner over us, his love, love. Help me out. His banner over you, his banner over me, his banner over us, his. What's that? His banner over you, his banner over me, his banner over us, his love, love. Oh, his banner over me, yeah. All together, let's say, his love. Thank God for his love. In the same heart, can I share an original song with you guys? The song is called Unforgettable. I wrote it some time ago. I was in high school, actually. And I wrote it, so hope you guys really enjoy it. One thing I still remember, and one thing I won't forget. How we sit and talked all night till the sun rose again. Our petty little fights and how I made you cry, and you curl right beside me, and I'd hold you through the night. As present fades to past, the memory was sure to last. Yeah. Unforgettable you to me. Unforgettable you are to me. There's some things I can't let go, but you're the only one I know that's unforgettable. See, I remember the first time I looked into your eyes. What was only a moment, I saw a lifetime. The first time we kissed, and a house and kids, and me on a bended knee, and you said yes. As present fades to past, the memory was sure to last. Oh yeah, unforgettable you are to me. Unforgettable you are to me. There's some things I can't let go, but you're the only one I know that's unforgettable. As time passes away, see your beauty will never fade. And on this journey through life, yeah, see I am yours and you are mine. Oh, unforgettable you are to me. Unforgettable you are to me. There's some things I can't go, but you're the only one I know that's unforgettable. So I love y'all. Tell you something, because I'm actually vocally I'm under the weather right now, so it's a little difficult. But you guys are so welcoming and so warm. I feel at home. So yeah. You called me out upon the waters, the great unknown. Feet may fail, and there I find you in the mystery. An ocean steep, my faith will stand. So I will call upon your name and keep my eyes upon the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. 'Cause I am yours and you are mine. Oh, 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 yeah. Your grace abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand will be my guide. Where feet may fail and fear surrounds me, you never fail, and you won't stop now. So I will call upon your name eyes upon the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, and you are mine. Oh, oh, oh. Let's sing it all together. So I will call upon your name, and keep my eyes upon the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, and you are mine. Yeah. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet will ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet will ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. And take me deeper than my feet will ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Help me out. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet will ever wander. My faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Oh, in the presence of my Savior. In your presence I am whole, God. Oh, yeah. In your presence I am whole. Yeah. Oh, thank you for your presence, Lord. Let's sing as a family. So I will call upon your, sing it out, and keep, yes, God. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, and you are mine, and you are mine. You say that right there. So you are mine. You are mine. Oh, oh, yeah. You are mine. You are mine. Oh, 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 oh. You are mine. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for your love, God. We feel your heart, Lord. Oh, nothing matters more. Nothing matters more than your love. We feel your heart. 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 Come on, sing to yourself. We feel your heart. We feel your heart. Yes, God. We feel your heart. Oh, we feel your heart. Whoa, we feel your heart. Whoa, we feel your heart. Oh, feel your heart. So you can feel my heart. Feel your heart. And you feel my heart. We feel your heart. Yes, God. And you feel my heart. Yes, Lord. Feel your heart. 'Cause you feel my heart. You feel our hearts. Yes, Lord. Nothing matters more. Nothing matters more, God. Nothing matters more. Nothing matters more, God. Nothing matters more. Nothing matters more than you, Lord. Oh, oh, oh. Nothing matters more. You matter more. One more time. We feel your heart. We feel your heart. And you feel my heart. We feel your heart. We feel your heart. We feel your heart. Real intimate, sing it to him. We feel your heart. You feel my heart. You feel my heart. You feel my heart. Yeah. You feel my heart. Yes, God. You feel my heart. You feel our hearts.
Spirit of God, we welcome your presence in this place. In this holy moment, we recognize something bigger than what we see. Your divine intelligence. We are connected with you, part of you, came from you. And we acknowledge you here today. As the psalmist said, bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that's within me, bless his holy name. Everything that we are, everything that we have been, everything that we will be. Beautiful moment. Beautiful moment. Man. Tell Alex we appreciate him bringing us into the presence. Beautiful. Beautiful. Alex Marion. Yeah, and whatever love you feel for us, it's right back at you. We feel it too. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I never doubt synchronicity. It was just such the right time for him. Remember, I was out at Reynolds and I said, I got to call Byron Soul, and it was just good. I love it. Beautiful stuff. You may be seated. You know what I like about this month? We did a month of meditation, and now to come back and do worship after meditation, it's interesting to see how connected it is, because it really is the same thing, and I think that's very very powerful, very powerful. You can follow him, Alex Marion Music, I think on Instagram, right? And any places where he appears, or whatever, you can follow him there. I want to thank everybody for your birthday expressions. I haven't seen you since I was in my late 50s. I don't know, do I look any different? I feel pretty much about the way I felt when I was in my 50s. It is funny about just psychologically the milestone of passing something with a 0 on it, because the whole next day I was like, this is the first day of my 60s. Like, what do you do? What do you do in your 60s? And new chapter. But anyway, thank you for those of you that came out Tuesday night. It was, listen, before I get into that, I do need to say, I think those of you that follow him on Instagram already know this, but Ray's mom transitioned actually on Tuesday. And they were planning on coming, bless their hearts, they're so sweet. When you look at the dictionary, the definition of sweet, there's a picture of Ray and Joanne. But he said, I talked to him that morning about his mom. He said, we're going to try to come tonight. I said, Ray, you can't. I love you, but you can't come tonight. And I was so full of compassion. I said, baby, you can't come. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you baby, Ray. And so, he'd been crying. He says, he said, all right, I'll talk to you later, baby. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. Anyway, I talked to him last night, and they're still up there with his dad, but the service was Thursday, I believe. So it wasn't that unexpected. She's had issues, but it's still, those of you that have gone through it, it's still, it's a rite of passage. And you're supposed to feel whatever you feel. I read something the other day, really resonated with me. It was talking about passive-aggressive things that people say to people meaning well. That sometimes when you say, oh, it'll get better or whatever, but you're trying to encourage somebody, but you actually end up diminishing what they feel. It's like you're trivializing what they feel. When your mom dies, you're supposed to be upset, and you're supposed to, I could tell he's not just sitting around crying all the time, but I can tell Ken's he's in a state of grieving over his dad that will just take some time. There's nothing, you know what I mean? It's like there's nothing I can say about it. It's like there's something you'll have to process, and I know him so well, I can tell when it's manifested, but it's just, that's part of the thing of it. And I think in charismatic theology, we were taught so much, get it right, heal them, whatever, that we end up not really helping people. And so that's why the scripture talks about a word in season. There is an appropriate time. You remember when the prophet came to David and he said, wash your face and get up, because he had grieved so much over the loss of his child. He said, but that was a prophetic word that said, it's time for you to put this thing behind you. But the Ecclesiastes says there's a time to heal, and the time to heal is different for every person. So I think those of you that might have been care pastors at church now, I used to tell the pastors, you don't have to have a fix-it word for everybody. Just go to the hospital and be there with them. Just go put your arm around them. Don't have to, because I've had people tell me stuff. Yeah. You know, it's like, I know you mean well, but what you're saying is actually making me feel worse. What is it in Proverbs? Is he who sings songs to him who is of a heavy heart is like one who takes away a coat in winter. So anyway, I've made my point. The point is, Tuesday night was great, and I was also aware there were other people. Karen was on her way and had a situation she had to take care of. I mean, several people had texted me. I knew there was a lot of, life going on out there. And it's interesting, when James said, he says, when you come together, he talked about everybody being in a different place, because he said, any of you that are merry, let him sing songs. In other words, if somebody's happy, don't rain on their parade, let him sing songs. But if there's any afflicted, let him pray. In other words, some people, it's like they just need to be here and just be quiet. But, she's like family, so she doesn't mind me saying this. Leona's going through some things. It's a little bit of a challenge for her to be here, and she wasn't sure. And I told her at BJ's wedding the other day, I said, it's fine if you can't, when you can't stand around and talk to people and you want to, but you can't because you got either shortness of breath or whatever. I said, no, everybody understands. Just I'll say something about it, but don't stay home just because of whatever, because it's not the same with that. But I've done that when some people come after a surgery. I'm like, don't hug them, don't beat them on the back or whatever, and understand if they split a minute before service is over, it's not about you. Everything's not about you. Stop taking like, they left didn't speak to me. You don't know what they're going through. But I love that, Paul and James both did that, because remember Paul said, when you come together, one of you has a tongue, one of you has an interpretation, one of you has an exhortation. In other words, you're all in different places. James says, if there's any merry, let him sing. In other words, don't feel inhibited about celebrating your good news. The people that love you are happy for you when you have good news, even if bad stuff is happening to them. And he says, if there's any afflicted, let him pray. If there's any sick among you, let him call for the elders of the church. In other words, he was saying, it's not this monolithic, even though we're unified, we're one, we also individually are going through different experiences, and you don't have to, like Frances was it yesterday? I think she texted me later in the day. She said, I hope you've had a great day. And I said, okay, we'll go with that, because it kind of had, it was, but I'd had some challenges, and I said, it's just stupid stuff. There's no point in going into it. I'll be fine, big picture. And she said, I should have texted you earlier. I was feeling you. I was like, well, whatevs. It's like it's just life. And sometimes you don't need to, you just need to say, I'm fine. I appreciate you asking. It's good to know that people are feeling you. And I love that we're so next level now that we can all give that to each other. Just to say, I'll be in the heart of the earth for 3 days, but on the third day I'll arise. So just, y'all talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back. And so anyway, but big picture, Tuesday night was great. It was a very important night for me, and we had a great turnout, and people bought art, and that was wonderful. I feel like my babies are in your house now, so you feel a part of me is there, and so thank you for that. And it was great. Yeah, the Sawyers got that one. It looks great on. It's perfect for your wall color. You painted your house for that, and they got that one. And I think y'all passed that one on. I think because that's in the, and he sent me another one. Actually, I like it. There's one last night of it hanging on their wall that's really good. Michelle didn't have that one, and they got Intuition, and that's that one looks great. And bless her heart, she's not here today, but Heather bought this, and they told me she has been there twice. She's gone with 2 different vehicles that are not big enough. And believe me, I feel you, because I had to rent a U-Haul yesterday to take out the stuff that hadn't sold. But so Jonah wrapped it for her yesterday. I think there's a table she's wanting to get, and they're maybe going to work on delivering it for her. Because believe me, I know these are big. I love this one. I love. That's the way I want people to look when they have my art. And the Rogers got that one. Somehow that fit right in the thing. And Leslie got that. And I'm really glad. And Robert got that, and that's Linda's nephew. He got that for his mom, so that's cool. And Patrick and Natalie got that one, and I wish I could tell Patrick's a real artist. He used to have a gallery, so he. Not that y'all don't appreciate it. He just appreciates it. We have a conversation in a way that's very special to me, and he really wanted that. And then somebody tried to buy it for him. He could have made money off of it because somebody there tried to buy it from him. And he said, "I'm going to jack the price up." So they're working it out. But anyway, that was good. And then Chrissy bought that print, so that's cool. And my cousin LaDonna bought one. I was like, I asked Avery, I said, "She paid for it and everything?" And he said, "Well, okay." Not that I'm not saying she's cheap. It's just that, and that's all we have. Somebody else took one that didn't pay for it and just said, "I'm taking it. Nothing you can do about it." And I know him well enough to know he really meant it. So I just said, "Okay." Yeah. But that's a different story. He said, "Who's going to stop me, man?" I'm like, "Okay." Sammy's. Sammy said, "I'll give it back. I know you're going to out me in front of everybody." Oh, that's funny. It wasn't you. But anyway, it was great. And it's, that was, the reason, those of you that follow Robert on Facebook, the reason he's blocking out the face of it's because you can't, when you just have a foster child, you can't put their image on social media. So that's why when he's holding the baby, he blots the face out. But Robbie Joe was in the hospital, but the baby's name is Adam, Atom, because he was so small, they named him after an Adam. Anyway, so Robert brought the girls. That was great. By the way, BJ and Joe are not here today. They're on their honeymoon. And that was good. And just a lot of great, just had a great time. And it was a very cool evening. Charles was playing great music, and we had a great time. You're like Mary Poppins. And, yeah, these are some great shots. BJ took some great shots, and Christy did, and Ken did. They came over from Alabama. That was great. There's my friend Howie. I couldn't believe Howie came. Howie's never come to anything. He hadn't come to any of my weddings or anything, and I was like shocked. And I was also happy that's good, Michelle. Thanks. Howie and Robert had never met each other. They're two friends of mine that I've known the longest. Because every time I talk to him, something will come up about Robert, and I'll say, "I can't believe y'all have never met. This is crazy." So they finally got to meet. That was awesome. And one thing Howie said that really impressed me. He said, as far as your work and everything, I'm used. He's seen my artwork since, we've known each other forever. But he said, "I haven't been around your environment." He said, "I've never seen such love." He said, "And it's so." He said, I take it for granted. He said, "I've never seen such an integrated environment." By that, he meant it's black and white, gay and straight, young and old. It's like, he said, it's just such an eclectic group that clearly all know each other and have relationships with one another. He said, I don't know if you realize how unusual that is. And I said, well, sometimes I forget because I'm so accustomed to it. But it is, it's what Dr. King called the beloved community. It's the kingdom of God. It's what we're supposed to be. So anyway, thank you for everybody who was a part of it, especially Avery. Did so many things behind the scenes. I appreciate it. And just everybody. It was good. Y'all had a good time, didn't you? And Chandra sang, and Corey sang, and Chelsea sang, and Marquescu sang, and it was just good. I didn't know he was coming, but it turned out good. Yeah, there's Corey. Well, you've seen him. It's just good. Good time. Our outreach this month, of course, is for the Atlantic Music Festival. So thank you for being a part of that. And that was our event for the month. So I haven't looked at. I'm serious about us driving down to the beach one day and doing a meditation and everything. I've just got to figure out when and where to do it, but it's coming. So be prepared. All right, it'll be good. All right. All right, we speak into this atmosphere and we say, "Let there be light." Those of you who are just now logging onto the podcast, welcome to Metron Live. Oh, say it again. Sorry. It's okay. Just give me the signal. Talk amongst yourselves. While he's getting that, last Sunday was just great. It was great. I was surprised some of the people that were here. Like, wow, okay, amazing. There is a whole, what do I call them? A whole culture of people out there that don't go to church anywhere, but still consider me their pastor. They don't come to Metron. It's beyond their imagination to drive to Atlanta. It's just the weirdest thing that people have about Atlanta. Like, oh, I could never drive there. And I said, it's on Sunday morning. I mean, I could give it to you if it was Friday at 5 o'clock traffic. But it's Sunday morning. It's pretty quiet. Oh, God, no. I don't know what would happen in Atlanta. Like, really? Conyers is technically Metro Atlanta. It's not like you go into a different. I've just quit arguing about it. But I guess they show up on Easter, so so there's that. And they, believe me, still consider me their pastor. I mean, they call and write and text a message all hours of the night. They don't come, they don't support, but I'm their pastor. Really? I don't quite remember. When did I see you last? It was 1993. We were there, and we never had another pastor besides you. Like, oh, I know. That's the thing. It'd be different. Now, I shouldn't have started this. I need to get on the podcast. It'd be different if they said, "We hate your guts. We never want to hear you again." Then I could let it go. But it's like, oh, God, if we could just ever hear you preach one more time. I'm like, really? I do it every Sunday. Never stop. Oh, God, no. We could never. What is it? Atlanta? Atlanta? Like, ooh, we've heard. We could never go there. You just got to love them, Paul. All right. Those of you who are just now logging onto the podcast, we welcome you to Metron. We're coming to you live. Hey, all of you millions of Metron people out there, give a hand to the podcast people and welcome them. Welcome, podcasters. We started a series last week entitled As He Is, Manifesting the Christ in the Material World. And I'm not going to go back to that scripture, but it's taken from 1 John chapter 4, verse 17, which says, "For as He is, so are we in this world." I want to show you some other scriptures today out of different translations. Some of this is touching on things we've talked about before, but for the sake of this series, I need to bring it in for context. First thing I want to show you is this is Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, 27. This is out of the Concordant Literal Version. Bishop, you refer to this a lot. Yes, I think it's one of the most important things in the Bible. There are a lot of things in the Bible that I look at and I go, that's not a part of my canon. I rightly divide certain things, and I can tell when some things are just humanly spoken. I can also tell when other things are very divinely inspired. And here in Genesis 1:26 in the Concordant Literal Version, it says, "And saying is the Elohim, make will we humanity in our image." You're more used to hearing the King James, "and God said, let us make man in our image." But the word God there is translated from the word Elohim, which literally means gods, plural. You have to understand the ancients were polytheists, and they believed in a lot of gods. And really, that Moses was coming out of that same mentality. It wasn't until Abraham that we developed a monotheistic theology. Abraham was the first one who came along and said, all those different gods that you're calling even Greek and Roman mythology, all this, there's a God of war, there's a God of love, there's a God of harvest, whatever. Abraham came along and said, it's all the same God. But what Moses said saying is the Elohim, will we, not let me make man, it's let us make people in our image. It's a plurality. Will we humanity in our image and according to our likeness, and sway shall they over the fish of the sea, and over the flyer of the heavens, and over the beast, and over all land life, and over every moving animal moving on the land. And creating is the Elohim humanity in his image. In the image of the Elohim, he creates it. Male and female, he creates them. The concordant literal version comes directly from the Hebrew and Greek, so everything speaks in the now. It speaks in present tense. That's why he says the Elohim is creating. Or if it says the Spirit is vibrating over the face of the earth. In the original languages, there was no concept of was. Everything was now. God is creating now. The Elohim is creating now. I make no apology for referring to this scripture often because I think it's something we have to be reminded of very frequently. And let me just cut to the chase here. To say out of your mouth, I am God, it's a daunting thing. Crazy people have said, I am God. And, the old joke about you go to the mental institution and the guy says, I'm Napoleon. And the guy says, who told you were Napoleon? He said, God told me. And his roommate said, I did not. It's like, so it's even as I'm teaching it, it's like we feel squeamish about saying it because we've been taught, well, no, God is greater than me and I'm less than and whatever. Understand this, and this is really kind of the definition of intellectualism. You can see more than one side to something. You can understand multiple interpretations. You can say, I worship God, the great I am. God is greater than me. And you can also say, I'm God. And those are not mutually exclusive statements. Furthermore, God doesn't want them to be mutually exclusive. One of the best things about my birthday is so many people telling me, and even Friday night, Jonah's in this band, Mateel, and they're really doing well. I mean, they're opening for Jack White of the White Stripes, and a lot of really cool things happening. Who else did they? Yeah, that's him. They just opened for Portugal the Man, and so many people have said to me, "Oh, your kids are so much like you. They're manifestations of you. They picked up your." They're like you on the stage in different ways. And that's like the greatest compliment of my entire life. Even, bless his heart, Jared and his band, the Black Lips, they are alternative, garage, punk rock. And in every interview that Jared's done, whether it's Rolling Stone or, any of these rock and roll magazines, he says, well, I consider I do the same thing that my dad does. Other people have said, "Oh, we read articles about Black Lips, and we're praying for you." I'm like, "No, don't." They think they're doing what I do. Jared's like, "Yeah, my dad. I used to see the Pentecostals come in and they worship everything. So we go in and sing, and people are in a mosh pit, and they feel better when they leave. And he traces his roots right back to gospel music." I'm thinking, well, that's a stretch, but okay. That's why I've written articles over the years to say I'm proud of what my son does. I mean, it's like every time I go hear him in concert, he'll say my dad's here, and everybody knows who I am. Like, hey, Bishop, how you doing? I told you the story one time. I'm not making fun of the guy. I'm just saying this is exactly how he talked. One night, I went to hear Black Lips over here at the Earl in East Atlanta. And a guy from, I think it was Rolling Stone magazine, he was there to do an article on them. So I was standing up front, and he sat out there smoking a cigarette. He says, "Hey, man, can I ask you something?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Are you like Jared's dad?" Those of you who listen to the podcast, I'm imitating smoking a cigarette. And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "That's cool, man." Then he goes, "So do you like speak in tongues?" And I said, "Well, yeah, on occasion." I mean, I didn't know what he was going to say about it. He goes, "Man, that's so cool." And I thought, this is all of my life coming together. You know, having grown up in the Bible Belt and hearing people say to me, "We don't believe in that speaking in tongues. We believe tongues are of the devil." Now I got Rolling Stone magazine saying, "Man, that's so cool." So I just so you know, I support all that my kids do. And they're not, they're not necessarily, Judah would be the closest to a worship leader. The rest of them all, they're rock stars. But I love that they are a part of me. I'm not taking anything away from their mothers, but especially when I had boys, I thought, man, I don't know how to be a boy dad. I'm like, I can't teach them how to play ball and all that kind of stuff because I never did that. My dad never did that. My dad never did that with me. My dad's growing up was, hunting and fishing in South Georgia. I never saw my dad watch a football game or in my entire life. So I remember thinking, oh, I don't know what to do for boys. As it turns out, they're all musicians. Now they all did well at sports, but they're not into it. Because I was supportive when they were. I just never understood it. Remember I told you when Judah was really good at Little League, and I never fully knew what we were supposed to say. I just followed, way to watch, good eye. 3 up, 3 down. To this day, I don't know what that means. But I used to say it, and I don't want you to explain it to me. I don't care. Please don't take me aside later and let me explain to you the rudiments of baseball. I'm glad you enjoy it, not me. What I'm saying is that's in their DNA, and here's my point. If any of them said, "I am Jim Swilley," I wouldn't be offended at that. I would be like, well, you are a part of me. You are an extension of me. And that doesn't take away their individuality. You can meet any of them and recognize that they are not me, and yet they are me. And they are their mom. You are your parents. Same is true for God. When you say I'm God or I'm divine, I think we're probably more comfortable saying I'm divine or I have divinity in me. When you say I'm capital G God, it just sounds crazy. And you for sure can't say to the people you work with, if somebody wants to bring you down a peg, I'm going to show you are not God. But the point is, and this is what we're talking about this month, the Elohim says, let us create a facsimile of ourselves. If you follow the Genesis narrative, and I've probably taught on Genesis more than anything else, when God creates Adam, he creates a facsimile of himself. And the word breathe is the Hebrew word nafach, which is N-A-P-H-A-C-H. And it literally, the impression is that God holds up himself and gives himself mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. It's like God holds himself and breathes life into himself. And that when Adam's eyes blink open, he has the saliva of God on his lips. I mean, he's literally, God created God. Now, I say this with, for lack of a better term, fear and trembling. Because we've been so taught, you're less than, but you are his very DNA. Let me show you 3 other scriptures. This one is John chapter 1, verses 1 through 5 and verse 14 in the Kibboris manuscript. And I've used this many times, but this is important. King James says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. What it says in the language that Jesus spoke, it says, at the very beginning there was willed action. And the willed action then was by God, or Alaha. It's the same word where the Muslims get Allah. And God was that willed action. Now, whether you believe it's willed action or the Greek word logos, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. I thought God was a man, an old man on a beard sitting on a throne. No, John says the Word was God. So what he's saying is you can't define God with finite terms. Moses said, "Who shall I say sent me?" And the voice says, "You tell him I am sent you." I am what? I don't need to put a clarification on that. Just I am. You remember some of you that grew up in those old gospel churches, you remember when people get up and say, "He's been a mother to me. He's been a father. He's been a doctor. He's been a lawyer." You know, those old school preachers would, really work that. But it's the truth. What you're saying is he's the I am. Whatever. You need a husband, you need a wife, you need a mother, you need a father, you need a brother. He's all of that, which is why, if I may say for the bazillionth time, Jesus said, "It's necessary that I go away." It's just an amazing thing that these prophets prophesy a Messiah coming for centuries, and he virtually walks in the door saying, "I got to go." Any of you that used to watch the Groucho Marx show that was on in the 50s, You Bet Your Life, I think was the name of it. His theme song was "Hello, I Must Be Going." Hello, I must be going. Da, 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 da. It was something he sang from one of the Marx Brothers movies. Because it's an absurd statement. Hello, I must be going. It would be like you waiting for relatives to come visit, and you've done all this preparation, and they walk in the door saying, "We're leaving the car running because we can't stay." So Jesus gets here. We've been at Metron longer than Jesus had an earthly ministry. We're into our 4th year. Jesus only ministered as an adult for 3 years, 36 months. So basically, all this time, you're waiting. Even the disciples who followed him were waiting for him to do a certain thing, which, by the way, I don't know if any of you got to see last Sunday night the Jesus Christ Superstar that was live with John Legend. It was brilliant. It was so good, and I have so much history with Superstar, but it was really John Legend made a great Jesus, and the guy, I don't remember his name, but the guy who played Judas, he was in the Broadway production of Color Purple. I can't remember his name, but it's not that his voice he has okay voice, but he really captured the angst of Judas, and at the end when he's singing "I Don't Know How to Love Him" right before he commits suicide. I mean, I've heard it so many times, and I'm like, wow, you really got it. And you see that these men who followed Jesus, who was, an eclectic group to say the least, tax collector. Judas was Simon the Zealot. He was like a terrorist, an anarchist. And so all these men followed Jesus for a certain reason. Like they thought he was going to overthrow the Roman government or whatever. And he's saying, "No, I've got to go because as long as I'm here, you're just going to see Jesus." And those of us who were raised around Jesus, we grew. How many funerals have I sang? "But I said, I want to see Jesus, the one who died for all." That's the big payoff on that song. That's where all the emotion comes. I got some news for you. When you get there, they're going to say, "Well, we don't call him Jesus anymore. We haven't called him Jesus in several thousand years. But if you want to see this manifestation of God, you're going to be looking like, where's that Jesus, that robe and sandals? He hasn't worn that in a long, long time. He just wore that." That would be like you going to some party in the 70s and people taking pictures of you, and everybody now thinks that's what you look like. Like, well, no, that was an incarnation of me then. I saw somebody posted a picture of me the other day that I hadn't seen from way back in the day, and I thought if I didn't know that was me, I wouldn't know that was me. And I know that was me, but I would look at it and think, I'm like a completely different person now. So if you need to think of a 33-year-old Israeli man being in heaven and you're going to touch his wounds like Thomas did, that's fine. But I'm going to tell you something that's probably something you just tell yourself to, like, when Jesus said, it's necessary that I go away. He was saying you've got to get a bigger picture of God. And part of that big picture of God is he's as big as the universe and as small as you. I wish I could find it. I posted this on Facebook a long time ago, but it's somebody that took it was a video that showed, seems like to me it was a woman standing in a field, and I'm sure some of it was CGI, but it's like the camera pans up and you see the sky, and then you see outer space, and you see, it's like it expands to all these like billions of solar systems, but then it comes back down and goes in her, and it goes to the tiniest, you know what I'm talking about? It shows you, what? Yeah. And then it shows inside of her are all these millions of universes. It really just made such a powerful statement. And that's why Jesus said, he said, it's finished. I've done this part where I came as a human being and you could relate, and we've established this, that Jesus didn't die to make God happy. He died so that we could feel righteous. God always loved us. The fall was in man's mind. Who told you were naked? That's not, I don't think you're naked. Oh, you see yourself as naked. All right. Well, I've given you the authority to name the animals. Whatever you call the animals, what I'll call them. So if you call yourself fallen, I'll have to call you fallen. So you're going to need a savior, but you only need it because you think you need it. At the very beginning, there was willed action, and the willed action was by God, or Alaha, and God was that willed action. The beginning was by God. All was by him, and without him not a single thing came into being out of that which was from him. There came into being a perfect life, and this perfect life became light unto all men. And this light out of darkness caused light, and darkness did not overcome. And willed action became flesh and dwelt among us, and we saw glory as if begotten from the Father, completely filled with heavenliness and righteousness. Now, this is a very powerful concept, the idea that God is willed action is God. It took me a long time to get to this point, and hear me with mature ears. I've spent so many years counseling with people asking, what should I do about this? What should I do about that? And I have always said, follow peace. Whatever peace is, go with peace in your heart. And I have not completely abandoned that model. However, I am more inclined now to say, make a decision and the peace will follow you. I'm not totally sure there is a bad decision anymore. And I know there is a way that seemeth right unto man, and the way I understand that. But there is something so holy about willed action, about being absolute, about deciding who you are. Even something as simple as you texting, asking about my day. Big picture is, I'm always going to have a good day. It didn't feel like a good day. I mean, it was enough that I won't bore you with the details, but I have storage facility that comes with my loft. It's a long story. I've never used it before. Somebody's been using mine, which means so everybody's in the wrong storage space. So I need my storage space now after all these years, but it's this huge deal now because everybody's got to move their stuff. Meanwhile, I got all this stuff. Ken brought stuff from his dad's house. I mean, we're just like, I don't like the way we're living right now. And I still had some paintings, and I thought, I can't bring them here, and I can't yell at this concierge anymore. And I've talked to the property managers. They know they're working on it. There's only so much you can say. I need every person in every unit in this place to disrupt their life right now, so I can put. It just doesn't work that way. So I've just had to get a grip. Like, all right, we're just gonna live in this for a little bit. So. Not all the paintings sold. Most of them did, but not all of them did. So I've got to find a place for them. So I called Mom. I said, I'm going to have to bring these to your basement because I can't. There's no point in me schlepping them into my loft, and we can hardly walk now in the place. So it was just a little emotional. It was kind of difficult, and I won't tell you any more than that, but it was enough that when we were driving to my parents' house yesterday, I started naming things I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that people bought paintings. I'm grateful that I had a year of having a studio, and I know what that's like. I'm grateful that, and it didn't automatically fix everything, but it's like I know how to that's willed action. I mean, really, I'm not telling you not to go to doctors or whatever. Let me tell you why people live and die. Let me just tell you, because I've spent years in IC units, and I mean, I was seeing people die when I was a kid. I'd go with my dad. Back in the day when Sister so and so was dying, everybody would go to their house and they'd sit around her bed. And so, I mean, I grew up with death. The people who live decide to live. The people who die, and sometimes I understand why they do, because they get so tired of fighting. I have felt bad enough for it that I just think, man, I can see why. As bad as I feel, I can see why people who are going through chemo and all that kind of stuff, if you don't have willed action, I can see where you just say, it's too hard. I'm gonna go to the other side. So I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying, and I've used this analogy before, but at the end of The Help, we talked about this before, where Allison Janney's character, she tells her daughter Hilly to go to New York and follow her dream, and her mother has breast cancer, and she says, well, Mom, I can't leave you. And she says, Hilly, I have decided not to die. Now, for the most part, that just is the truth. You could have the best doctor in the world, but if you don't have the willed action to say, I will get through this, I will walk again, I will feel good again, I will live again. You could go to the Mayo Clinic. They can't help you. Willed action is God. Willed action is what keeps you alive. Willed action is what helps you get. In the beginning was willed action. Everything is built on a decision. Somebody decided. We're in this theater because somebody said, let's build a theater on this property. That's just all it is. Now, it doesn't mean everything. It doesn't mean, let me say it to you this way. I'm feeling the presence of God very strong. I'm feeling revelation. God asks the prophet, can these bones live again? He doesn't say these bones will live again. He says, can they live again? The prophet says, thou knowest, or you know. And with the declaration, remember, and it's a prophetic thing about the nation of Israel, but what it says is the bones, the old gospel song, the knee bones connected to the, this is where this came from. It says the bones came together, and then the muscle and the sinew and everything. So when you make a decision, listen, when you make a decision, everything's not perfect immediately. It's the skeleton. Can these bones live again? Yes, I have a skeletal outline for my future happiness, my future prosperity, but I don't know what it looks like yet because it's just bones right now. So when somebody says, can these bones live again? You're the only one that can will it. You can't say, well, I don't know. And you can't be upset that all you see is a skeleton. The skeleton means muscles and bones muscles and sinews and skin. That will all eventually be added to it. But right now, all you got's a skeleton. All you got, sometimes you're holding on to one bone. Can these bones live again? This is all I got. And it's like these archaeologists, that find a fossil. And they have to look at it like, what is it? I don't know. Is it a bone from a person? Is it a prehistoric? What? And they don't know immediately. Sometimes those bones are so old. Remember, if I can go back to the metaphor of can these bones live again, it says they were dry. This wasn't like a recently deceased. Like these were fossils. These were fragments that had been baking in the desert sun. And the prophet says, can it live again? Well, I need a word from God. You can't get a word from God. You are God. You have to say, these bones will live again. And it says, do you know what it says? I'll buy your lunch if anybody can tell me what it says that the prophet did. Well, you won't know. It says he prophesied to the wind. He spoke to the wind. And it says the wind came and recreated life out of these dead, dry bones. That's a declaration that you make every day. You prophesy to the wind. Do you know how foolish you feel when you prophesy to the wind? Have you ever had somebody ask you how things are going and you're like, do you really want to know? Or should I prophesy to the wind? Because if you don't prophesy to the wind, let me tell you what's going to happen. All you're going to do is establish the death that is already there. And you will find, listen, there are so many people walking around full of death. You will find instant agreement. There are so many negative people, so many cynical people. You'll start killing yourself. What does Proverbs say? Death and life are in the power of the tongue. This can create life. This can end life. Jesus speaks to the fig tree. No one eat from you ever again. It withers from the root. So your own tongue can be deadly to you. And it's so, let me tell you something. It humanly feels so good to get sympathy that it's easy to opt for a lower vibration just for that instant gratification of somebody empathizing with you for just a moment. That feels good. You want somebody to know. And that is a human thing. You want somebody to know. But what happens is somebody just agrees with you and pulls you into the grave. The world is full of undertakers. Full of undertakers. And even people that love you are ready to bury you. And they don't even realize it. They are so acclimated to death, they don't even realize that what they're doing to you is deadly. Think about the things that were said to little kids that just killed their spirit, that unthinking parents had no idea. And now this person is walking around with death in them because of something that somebody said to them. Somebody's being an undertaker, just trying to bury him. And I'll tell you something else listen, when it comes to recognizing your divinity, people who don't know that, I mean, it's in everybody. I mean, Jesus spoke to the Pharisees, the kingdom of God is within you. But when people don't know it, they resent people who do know it. And there will be people who want to put your light out. If you manifest God in you, you better get ready for a little loneliness. And be all right with it. And it comes back to just when I say the words I love in the beginning was the word. I love in the beginning was logos. I love all these translations. But there's something about this one when I say in the beginning was willed action. It vibrates so strong in my head. It's like it feels like when my phone's in my pocket and it bzzz, and I feel like somebody's calling me. That's how strong the vibration is. So that I don't wait to see. I know James says we'll not say on the morrow what would he say if the Lord wills. You have to take those scriptures in context. Go back to the thesis of the Bible, which is you are God. Create your Garden of Eden. And everything that you say is a building block of your garden. It's willed action. So even if you don't feel it, can these bones live again? Yes. And let me tell you, yes doesn't always feel like, yeah, yes. And sometimes it's just, don't push me on this, but it's just yes. That's all I can give you right now, is bone can live again. But you got to give me a minute, because it ain't going to look like much right now. This is all right, everybody take a deep breath. We're in the birth canal, so I've got to birth. I can't leave it here. We've got to birth this word. Stay with me. John chapter 10, this is verse 33 through 36. This is in the Message. This is when the Pharisees rebuke Jesus for saying that he's God. The Jews said, we're not stoning you for anything good you did, but for what you said. This blasphemy of calling yourself God. Jesus said, I'm only quoting your inspired scriptures, where God said, I tell you, you are gods. If you can't at least say, I am little g God, or if it makes you feel better to say, I am a God, at least give me that. If you can't say that, then you're disrespect. Listen, this is Jesus quoting the book of Psalms. That's exponentially powerful. You have to say it. You have to say it. Well, I just feel it less than. You have to will yourself out of that. Your willed action pulls you out of your low self-esteem. Your willed action pulls you out of your insecurity. Your willed action pulls you above the insults that somebody called you, whatever they called you. If it was a racial epithet or somebody called, whatever it was. If you've been the victim of racism or homophobia or religious intolerance or loved ones who close to you who just said something to you that would what is it in Proverbs says the words cut to the innermost parts of the belly? You know what it's like. There's some words, like somebody off the street can cuss you out for, and it doesn't matter, but when it's somebody close to you that you have emotional ties with, they can, woo, Lord Jesus, they can go in and do so much damage. You have to will yourself out of it and say, I forgive my way out of this thing. You're not going to be this powerful in my life. I can't let your word stunt my growth. I'm going to, your word is pressing me down, and I'm going to will myself out of it. I'm breaking out of the darkness of your word and over me, and I will not accept your prophecy. I will find my light. That's what a living thing does. Haven't you ever seen? It always touches me if I'm walking through a parking lot and there's a crack in the concrete or the asphalt, and there'll be like a little. I know they call them weeds, but I think little dandelions are so pretty. There's the yellow flowers, and I love the part that you blow, but there'll be like some little dandelion that just overcame concrete. It's like there's something so inspirational about that. It's like, wow, you just can't. The life is going to move toward the sun. You know, you're just going to find it, and that's willed action. I don't know where some people find it from. You know, where do they find the strength to keep going? You see, you know, there's some people who trip on the sidewalk and die, and other people fall out of an airplane and they don't know how it happened. They landed on a snowbank, and you're like, what the what? The only way I can explain it is some people just have the will to live. I remember my grandmother, I've talked about so much. She was feisty and stubborn and whatever. And bless her heart, you know, the days before she died, she looked like a skeleton laying there. No, there'd been no movement in her body. Like, she hadn't even urinated in like 2 days. The blood pressure was so low. Like, I remember the doctor came and said, I don't know why she's still breathing, because there's like, she should have been gone several days ago. And it was just her willed action. Finally, it was just all of us saying, please go. You know, like, what are you still doing here? You're suspended between these two worlds. And I mean, she's just not going to give it up. I mean, even after a few hours after they pronounced her dead, I'm like, I don't know. Wait, we wait for it. We went to the cemetery, put a slab over her, and I'm still like, wait for it. Wait for it. Because we had told her bye so many times, and she just, by God, came back. I mean, you pull the sheet over her, and she'd be like, I want to know why everybody's trying to get her. You know, it's like, there was none like her. That's the life force that gets you through Monday. It's just a little dose of it, but it's the same thing. Because I'm going to get really real with you. Aren't there some days where you get in the car and you're driving to work, you're like, I know it's not that I'm not grateful for my life. It's not that I don't love the people in my life. It's just some days I just don't want to. And it's hard for me to explain. What? How do you get to work? It's not the gas in your car that drives you to work. It's willed action. It's like, well, I'm going to do it. And guess what? Your willed action attracts, lo and behold, some good stuff starts happening. But man, if you don't use that divine creative power, you'll die right there on I-285. You just pull the car over the side of the road and it's like, I'm out. Let me show you this scripture. Oh, finish this. If God called your ancestors gods and Scripture doesn't lie, why do you yell blasphemer, blasphemer at the unique one the Father consecrated and sent into the world just because I said I am the Son of God? The next scripture, 2 Peter 1:4. This is in the Jonathan Mitchell New Testament. This is where the King James says, by these exceeding great and precious promises we've been made partakers of the divine nature. Here's what it says in the JMNT. He has been freely given, or has presented himself as a gift to us, to the end that through these gifts you folks would come to be, or could come into existence, being, or should be born people of common being from a divine essence and nature. Folks having a partnered share that is based upon a common existence from a divine-born instinct and native condition, or fellow participants of a germination which is divine. Now, I know that's very wordy, but I love it. He picks up the diamond and catches all the facets of light to what that word actually means. It's just basically saying, bottom line, you're God on the inside. You may look human on the outside, but you are a creative force. Let me just give you these quotes. Divinity means unfolding and expressing life in new ways. Divinity means radiating peace, bliss, and beauty in the world. Divinity means overcoming the limitations of nature in new ways. You know, this just used to bless me so much. At the end of the year, and maybe people said this maybe this is whenever it was in everybody's yearbook, but at the end of the year, when in high school when you'd sign yearbooks, you know what, the one thing that I heard more than anything else, and like I said, maybe everybody was writing this, but the one thing that I used to hear is, Jimmy, when I'm having I was Jimmy Swilley in high school. Jimmy, when I'm having a bad day, there's something about when you walk into homeroom, I feel like I can make it. And these people like, I don't remember we ever had a conversation. And I used to, like, again, maybe everybody was saying that to everybody, but I took it as, wow, you got to light up the world wherever you go. People are important enough that if you help somebody get through a bad day, that's important. You might not have fed hungry orphans in some third world country, but you helped somebody get through a really horrible time. That means something. People matter. If you helped somebody, just something as simple as, I mean, I am inundated with panhandlers around here, but we went by CVS last night, and there was just something about this guy. He was just standing out there as we were getting in the car. He said, he walked up to me, he said, man, have you got $1? And I did have $1. It was just $1, and I handed it to him, but there was just this second where we just made eye contact. There's no point in me saying anymore because I couldn't do any more for him than that. I can't take him into my house, whatever. But it was just a human moment. And there's no point in me saying, hang in there, because it's just, how am I going to, I'm getting in my Lincoln and driving. Like, what? There's nothing I can say to him. But I can have this human moment where, I don't know, in his world, $1 may make a difference. And maybe he's standing out there all day. Maybe people give him dollars all day. Believe me, I know all the guys around here. When I come here and park, there's a guy that's always at the bus stop there, always asks me for a change, and I'm always like, I gave you some yesterday. I'm not doing it today. I mean, I know all the people. There's always a guy that sits outside Starbucks over there. Avery's bought him stuff. I've bought him stuff. I meet people there to counsel. They're buying it. I mean, I know the whole thing. It just is what it is. But there's something about this guy. Just I thought about the way his eyes looked several more times during the evening. You can't fix all the stuff in the world. You can't fix it. Maybe I made it, maybe helped him get through an hour. Some people live in such desperation, they're literally going from minute to minute. It's not day by day. It's like you can't fix everything. You can do something. If you do something, something matters. This next one by Dr. Dyer, he says, within all of us is a divine capacity to manifest and attract all that we need and desire. Now you all know that. But we need to remember that. You know, I came from a long line of people going to somebody's meeting. I got to go. I need a healing. I want to go see Benny Hinn, or I need, that was where I came from. It's like that concept of if I may touch the hem of his garment, I shall be made well. So I've got to go from point A to point B, which is why, again, Jesus said it's necessary that I go away. He met people at that level, but he says this isn't the highest and the best. The highest and the best is when you don't even need a healing line anymore. You don't even need an altar call anymore. You're carrying it around with you all the time. And thank God there's for the other people that need it, that's out there for them. But you don't need, I mean, furthermore, you don't have any need that any man should teach you, is what 1 John says. Well, then why do we get up this morning and drive over here? Because sometimes you need to be reminded of it. I haven't told you one thing today that you didn't already know, which is why it resonates with you. Which is why you hear somebody sobbing. Why? Because it resonates with them. Does that bother you? No, that means, well, contact, mission accomplished. One last thing by this individual. When you enter a place of stillness, you awaken the divinity within you. That's my case for meditation. That's my case for sometimes being quiet. Periodically, I go off of social media, and it's not that I'm depressed or anything. It's just like, I've said enough right now. I need to be quiet. And I can't even explain why. I'm okay. I like social media. I mean, I know all the stuff that's going on with Facebook right now. Frankly, for me, I was looking for a pair of shoes online the other night. I'm looking for, within an hour, ads from that shoe company are appearing in my feed. That to me just makes my life more convenient. I don't, that's not, I'm like, okay, whatever. They know that's what I looked at. And I'm okay with that. I understand the negative implications of it and Cambridge Analytica and Russian bots and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I get it. I like social media. I like connecting with people. But I also like to sometimes, I need to be quiet for a minute. And that's okay. And you need to respect when other people need to be quiet. And not just be like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Are you okay? Are you okay? Like, there is a time to speak. There is a time to be silent. Everybody should have that. But one thing is for sure is the silence, whether it's walking on a beach or sitting in a meditation or even just at the end of his worship, did you hear how quiet it got? His voice got quiet. See, as you get, nothing against loud stuff. The word hallelujah literally is the hallel to Jah, which means make a loud noise. There's a place for that. But when you really get into, think about, we're all adults here. When you're in a moment of intimacy, you're not yelling at somebody, right? That's when you know the good part's about to start because you're whispering to one another. You know what I mean? That's not a time to jump into bed. You are so sexy! Oh, baby! It's just like, whoa, you just killed the moment. Moments of intimacy are supposed to be still and quiet and romantic and buddy, we've had it all today. And when you really get into a place where you're releasing your own divinity, it actually makes you a little quieter. Less is more. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes, they say the true definition of friendship is somebody you can be quiet with. Somebody that you can sit with and you're not having to keep the conversation going. That to me, I'm not saying married couples shouldn't communicate because you certainly should, but you should also be comfortable. You shouldn't be agitated to ride in the car and be quiet or sit there and watch TV and be quiet. You're just in each other's presence. You know the other person is there, but it's exhausting when somebody's like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? What's going on? What's in your mind? Are you okay? Why are you being so quiet? Like, oh my God, you are so much work. Sometimes quiet is just, I mean, love is like taking a walk with somebody. And maybe every half mile, you go, oh, wow, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That's pretty. That's a mature relationship. You want to get something to eat? Yeah, I could eat. Where do you want to go? I don't care. Where do you want to go? I mean, that sounds like, where's the passion? No, that's an elevated relationship that is not devoid of passion, but it's just operating at next level. And when it's time to say something, when it's time to say, oh, baby, you look good tonight, then you need to say it. Don't leave that unsaid. But also know a little bit of that goes a long way. You gotta, it's a word, it's like apples of gold and settings of silver. When there's too much talk, too many voices in your head, it's going to pull you back to the human side. There's nothing wrong with humanity, but humanity must be balanced with divinity. And the divinity comes from the quiet part. You know, I read people will post memes about, don't talk to me till I've had my coffee in the morning. So there's something really true about that. It's like some people just need to be quiet in the morning. Like you just need to, there's nothing wrong with you. You're actually glad to be awake. It's just you have to ease into your day. And sometimes you just want to, I mean, I have a life where I have the luxury of most days waking up when I want to. And I have, you know, I can be quiet if I want to. Not everybody has that. But even if you have a drive to work, then that becomes your quiet time. You know what I mean? If that's don't freak out about the traffic. Use that time to be quiet and meditative and you know, think about what you want to create for the day. Okay. Let's all stand. I'm not leading you into meditation, but just stand here and honor the word for a minute. The word Selah literally means pause and calmly think of that. Whatever words you receive today, just let it germinate for a minute. Let it marinate. Let it soak your spirit, soak your mind. Let's at least do this. Like I said, it's not an actual meditation, but everybody just inhale through your nose. Hold it. Exhale through your mouth. Just oxygenate your body, your muscles. Do it again. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. You inhale through your nose. Get that nitric oxide. Inhale. Exhale through your mouth. Get yourself into a calm state. Be meditative of the word that you've heard. Good stuff today. I love you all. Sammy, I love you. I'm glad you were here today. Eddie, I'm glad you were here today. You cracked me up. Willed action, baby. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Absolutely. Just remain standing for this, for the YouTube audience, and then I'll speak a blessing over you. Good stuff today.
Contributing to Metron is quick and easy. Simply text the amount you would like to give to 404-620-5044 And now you can give anytime by texting this number. You will then receive a one-time registration form that links your phone number and opens your account at SimpleGive. Complete the form, and you will then receive a successful registration and donation page. For additional information on your account, visit bishandthenow.com and click the support tab.
If you have a check,
Then
the
my online
JESM.
donation.
Danny, we bet there to receive it.
When you contribute to Metron, you're also supporting the charity or organization of the month. Thank you for your investment in Metron.
If you have cash, pay it forward. If you want to bless Alex, you can. I mean, I'm going to take care of him, but just make sure, it's always good to, when you receive, Paul said, if you've received spiritual things, you should minister natural things back, or if not, then take somebody to lunch or just spread it around. I really love you all. Thank you. Last week was great. This week is great because it's just intimate and wonderful. I love you. Peace.